So we've been talking about Ashley Ray's theory, and I've done a couple of narrated versions of that. But on this specific point, and I want to skip ahead, but on this specific point, and we were on point 7, I think she has about 10 points that I wanted to cover. And so far we've covered like 4 of those. I want to skip over point number 5 and point number 6, where she talks about the window myth, and she calls it dumb. I would probably definitely call it unbelievable as well, as we've discussed. The ransom note, she talks about why would it take she makes a good point on that one, because she asks what would be the point of the intruder bringing JonBenét to the wine cellar when it's just as easily that you go through Burke's train room and you dash out of the door. Just to make the point, if we're coming down the basement stairs right here, we're coming up from the first floor. We walk down the stairs, boom, 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 boom. The first thing we can do is either go this direction, because as you're looking at it, and I'll bring up the picture just to be clear, as you're looking at it, you go boom, 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 and you can walk into the boiler room and then go to the cellar this way. Or it's like you come into a fork in the road. Or you can go to your right, which is where Burke's train room was here. You can go right here, and then boom, and you're right here to the window that you're escaping out of. Now, Lou Smith, I think, was 5'9", and I think JonBenét was like 3 feet 9 inches tall. So if Lou Smith barely fit, and I'll bring up that picture, but well, first let me bring up the boiler room picture. So this is what I mean when you have that fork in the road. When you go right over here, you come down the stairs, and I'll just back it up just a little bit as you're coming down the stairs so you can get a clear visual. We're coming down the stairs, and I did notice this ribbon. I don't know what it's there for, but as the individual is coming down the stairs, he's taking all day to do it respectfully. Makes sense. He turns to his right. And so we can see the fork in the road that we're talking about. So we go to the left and we go to the right. So Ashley's point was, why would he go here? And if he knows the house so well and he broke in through the window, why would he go here and potentially into a place that he doesn't know? Why would he go here when he can go here and escape and leave? That's the point that we're trying to make. Additionally, these are the pictures of Lou Smith. I think Lou, like I said, is 5'9". These are the pictures of him getting into the basement. It's pretty small, if you ask me, but he's getting into the basement. And this is him at 5'9" standing here. This would have been a very cumbersome position to be in. I'm not going to lie. At 5'9", anybody around 5 feet, anything, I feel like this would have been a cumbersome position, right? Because if this is 5'9", you're just right over the top of this window sill right here, or this window perch right here. You're just right over the top of it. Maybe somebody 5'6" would be somewhere around here, right? And so somebody around 5 foot would probably be somewhere around here. JonBenét at 3'9", probably be somewhere around here, maybe. So she could fit. And as I go over, make that bigger. This is Lou getting in through the window and him stepping down into the window. Now we see that Lou can clearly fit. I would say that Lou is about as wide as that suitcase, and that suitcase could fit because he's not turning it on its side and trying to push it through. If JonBenét truly would have been subdued, like you said, and a stun gun would not have done that. A stun gun would have been the wrong thing to use in the first place. But, and I'm getting to my point, but the stun gun would have been the wrong thing to use in the first place. She would have been shocked for 15 seconds. And so how would you even shock her out of her bed, shock her, pick her up, and move her? Number one. Number two, she slept in bed with Burke the previous night. How would anybody know? Honestly and truly, how would anybody know that She may not sleep in the bed with Burke again that night in order to get up and fly to Charlevoix the next day. And that's Charlevoix, Michigan. As you guys know, they had a second home in Charlevoix, and they were going to Charlevoix for family, for stuff like that. So JonBenét at 3, I would say that JonBenét, and she was 45 pounds. So JonBenét was probably definitely not as wide as Lou. So she's probably here, from here to here on Lou. So she's probably, JonBenét probably comes up to about here on Lou, something like that, probably to his belt buckle. And then she's probably not as wide, so about here and about here. So JonBenét can go right through that window easy. So my point in saying that is that doesn't make sense for her not to be able to be pushed through the window and the intruder to not push her through the window. That's just doesn't make sense. And also given the assumption that the intruder was Lou's size and height. We don't know the parameters, but anyways, moving on. We're skipping those two pieces, the window and the ransom note. Like I said, we might come back to those, but we're skipping those. Now, wanting to talk about Ashley's theory around the staged garrote. And so, of course, we know that it was found around JonBenét's body. I'm saying that it was a specific part of the body, but I'm censoring myself for YouTube. It was found around a specific part of the body. Obviously became a focal point of the investigation. We want to know how it was made. We talked about on this channel before, Burke was a Boy Scout, so it's possible that he may have had the skills. We don't know. Allegedly had the skills. We do know that John was, according to sources, that John was a Navy man, and the newspaper showed that he had worked in jury rigging, which you look up the definition of jury rigging. It's assembling things from various materials. And so we're looking at two people who possibly have the skill set to make something like the garrote, because the garrote is assembled from various materials coming out of Patsy's art set. And so Ashley here suggests that it was staged, noting that there's a 17-inch cord in the garrote, too much space to restrain anyone, seems staged, which implies excessive length of the cord was impractical for use. And this is her exact quote. And the point that she was making in the Reddit post is that her idea was that Burke might have gotten scared or spooked. Maybe it's possible that he'd done something to her. We can speculate that it's possible that he had done something to her and it subdued her in some sort of way, or she was rendered unconscious in some kind of way. And then from there, it may have been the case that he got scared, and then so he tries to prod her or poke her with something. And this is where we pick up, it doesn't work. She doesn't wake up. And so now he's afraid. He's done something. And so as a Cub Scout, he's been seen whittling. We showed in the last video or in the crime scene video that there was some stuff over to the side that was like looked like shavings, wood shavings. And so he's whittling, and so he's able to make some sort of restraint, the 15 inches from the cord, too long to restrain and bind you like that. So that's her argument there with this 15 inches part. It's too much. It's too much cord. And so the person would be way out here with it. But coming down to there's 17 inches of cord right here. That's a lot of space to give the victim. I don't know if I agree with that part, just specifically because I don't think 17 inches, that's about, so a foot is 12 inches in a foot. And this 6 inches, half a foot. So this is just a little over 6.5 or a foot and a half. This is just over a foot and a half. I don't think that's a lot given what we're talking about, right? So let me try to see if I can't. So if I have my phone, right? If I have my phone and this is 6.7, this is 6.7 inches. I usually get the bigger version. So this is 6.7 inches. If we take 3 of these, right? And we say from boom, boom, and then we hold there, boom, hold there, boom, hold here. So it's somewhere up here. See if I can show that a little bit better. So the bottom of the phone right here. Yeah. Boom. And this is 6.7, so it's slightly over. Similar I have a 3-foot cord from end to end, 3-foot cable from end to end. If I half that to go about 1.5 feet, it's about 1.5 feet, I would say, about 17 inches, not too much, about 17 inches. And so JonBenét was considerably smaller. She was considerably smaller so she'd probably have smaller body parts, obviously, smaller head, smaller neck, smaller hands. So the body parts would be considerably smaller. So something like this could work. But if this is 17 inches, then it's not a lot of space at all to me. I guess that's my point. It's not a lot of space at all. Seems like almost just enough space. Because what an individual might do is they might take it, and obviously at 9, Burke's hands would be smaller. And so I'm trying to use this to estimate the smallness. I'm going to take away 2 fingers. And so what you might do if you have a cord that length is you might say, boom. So you fold over to get a little bit of length, but you fold over to get more length. That's pretty restraining, I think, just depending on what you're trying to do, because the cord make sure we'll just drop down. So the cord had a little tie on the end. It looks like it also has a little bit of hair right here too. So you got a little bit of hair here and a little bit of hair right here. I understand why hair would be here because this looks like the knot, but I don't understand why hair would be here. That always confused me, because why would hair also be here and here? This makes sense because when we were looking at the photos, and I won't show them here, but when we were looking at the photos of JonBenét, just because the graphic nature of it, I think it was tied around her hair, which I have a theory about that. It was tied around her hair, but I don't understand why the hair would be here, because this seems like hair was caught. This indicates to me that hair was caught, and not only was hair caught, but a lot of it was caught, and not only a lot of the hair was caught, but that seems like the hair would have been pulled out of the scalp in some kind of way. So some way, shape, or form, her hair got caught here and it got caught here. So at some point in time, this must have been closer to her head, maybe down here. So it's possible that the garrote was fashioned differently, because this might be the final form of the garrote, but it's possible that it was fashioned differently. And it's possible that it was fashioned as this point is the circular part designed to circle around the body, or tie the body up, tie the specific body part up to circle around it. And it's possible that this was tied into here, or it's possible that this was the main part, because this has more hair than this. And so it's possible that this was the main part at first, untied it, didn't like it, wasn't working. And in the process, you ripped out a lot of hair, because that seemed like a hair rip to me. But anyways, I do want to before we get to that, I just want to walk through this. And so my point in making that, before I move forward, my point in making that is that I don't think 17 inches is too much. Forensic analysis revealed that the garrote was crafted from nylon cord tied to broken pieces of Patsy's paintbrush, readily available items in the household. Look at articles like the LA Times, People Magazine, My Times. They list it here. Article in August 18. So this is August 14, of 97. They released this. And this is California time. They released this at midnight California time. So this must have been hot off the presses. And so, noting that her body sprawled on the living room floor covered in a blanket, coroner comes up and there's a cord around her body attached to a stick. And so we talk about how the garrote is designed. The design seems consistent with the Ramsey's ability. At least 2 people. It seems consistent with at least 2 people there. We're lacking definitive evidence of an external perpetrator. And so, of course, we're questioning that it's staged. I agree with that. And I'll jump down because we did note that the Post also looked at it. And we noted that People Magazine looked at it. I'll return to this, but the absence of defensive wounds. And so to build the wider context, the absence of defensive wound implies, and I think the only defensive wounds that she had was like, it seemed like it's possible that she was trying to get it from around her body. She was trying to get it from around her body. And so she was having to dig in, right? And so that's where some of the DNA under her nails may have come from, her own skin cells trying to dig in and get it off of her. But there were no defensive wounds because the individual who was doing this was away from her. And if we think about the garrote in and of itself, why would an intruder make that? And given the fact that it seemed like JonBenét was trying to get it off, that means that this individual put it on her and she was wide awake when it was put on. And given the fact that, or the lack of defensive wounds, a lot of times when you look at police cases, the lack of defensive wounds shows that it came out of nowhere, or this person wasn't ready for it, or they were in a position to where they couldn't get to the person who was committing the offense. If you look at cases of asphyxiation in close quarters, close contact with other object, like a pillow or something like that, where the individual suffers from by that nature, that individual is fighting and they're able to get their hands on the individual that is committing the offense and they're able to scratch and claw. The scratch and claw doesn't come intentionally. The scratch and claw comes because there is such a fight to get you off of me. There's such a fight. There's just this very intense fight to get you off of me that I dig in, and it's a natural response that I'm digging in to try to get you off of me or to try to cause you some sort of pain or suffering that can distract you. JonBenét didn't have any of that. And considering, and we're going to talk about the autopsy report specifically, because I got some thoughts on that too. And I've been just going by on the last week or so, just highlighting different things. And it's a lot, but we're going to talk about it. But there were no defensive wounds from her. So she may have been rendered unconscious or incapacitated by it when it was applied. The details align with theories proposing that the head injury occurred first. Based on what I've been reading, I'm not so sure anymore. Followed by the staging of the garrote to mislead investigators. Again, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that anymore. So anyways, here we see some of Patsy's art supply. This is Patsy's art supply box. That's the same mirror. There has got to have been tampering with this crime scene. That's the same carpet because you can see the mirror right here, and whatever is right there is also right here. Whatever is right here is also right here. This is the same mirror, or whatever that is, whether that's a mirror or not. Maybe it's not a mirror, but maybe it's, what's the word? Maybe that's concrete going into the boiler room, going into that part, maybe unfinished concrete there. But this is the same area. So we see that the golf clubs are here with the urine stain. Yet, for the longest time, whenever this was taken, this was noted here. If we look at this picture, this is going toward, now, these are John Ramsey's golf bags. Boom. And this is going toward the boiler room and into the wine cellar. The wine cellar is going through this door. We have bag number 1, bag number 2. This right here, this specific thing right here seems to be the top of this painting because this is taken at an angle. And so I think this right here is the top of this painting, which tells me somehow, some way, the room was set up at one point like this, in which the material is available. I previously thought it was possible that Patsy was working somewhere else. Let me show you. I thought this is an elephant. This is an elephant drawing. I thought Patsy, I I speculated that this was Burke's working area, but I thought that he was drawing something here. But I also had in the back of my mind that this was Patsy's working area. Maybe she was sharing this. However, this concerns me because I was already concerned about things being removed or moved around as we looked at this from the crime scene video, where this is the golf bag that was in the storage room. I will refresh your memory again. This is the storage room. Now we started this. We go to our left, the wine cellar. We go to our right. This is Burke's playroom. Now we turn a little bit further to our left, or I'm sorry, to our right. We turn a little bit further to our right. This is during the Christmas holidays. I'm not sure, I believe. And we're going through, if we remember the schema, this is the washer room. And back there you have the storage room. Boom. We're going to go through here. If you remember this, the storage room back here, right there is it's a golf bag. That is radically different. And that is another part of the house or another part of the basement. Completely different part. This over here is completely different than this over here. This golf thing I am noting right here is being pictured in here, right here. But somehow, some way, that golf bag ended up over here, right here, and more so right here, right outside this door. Ended up right here, ended up right here. But prior to these being right here, paintings that were right there with the art set that was already right there. Somehow all of this was moved, cleared out. All of this was cleared out. And now all we're left with is this and this. How did we get, when did this area get cleared out? When was this cleared out? That's what I'm confused about. When did this get cleared out right here? Are you telling me that? So what I'm to understand that happened here is that the intruder had snuck upstairs. How much time was this true intruder in the house? So the intruder, he probably bought lunch. I'm pretty sure the intruder either bought a packed lunch. And I know that sounds funny, but I'm being serious. The Ramseys didn't leave the house till the party was at 4:30. So the Ramseys didn't leave the house till about somewhere between 3 o'clock and 4:50 for sure. And I know Fleet stays close, but these are their friends, so they're going to get over there and help set up. And this is all speculation. I don't know. Maybe they said, we don't have time to help you set up Fleet. So you and your wife you and Priscilla are going to have to set up on your own. But my point in saying that is that if it were the case that you guys, whenever you left, if you guys left at, say you walked over there, no, because they took a car over there. They drove over there. And on the way back home, they were dropping off presents to different homes. So wherever it is, they had to drive and they had to pack things in the car. This intruder, very aware of them packing this stuff, was watching them extensively. So this intruder had to have been doing a stakeout, had to be watching you to know exactly when you left. Let's say it takes you 10 minutes to get down to Fleet's house. At about 4:05, you're packing up the car with the presents that you're going to give to your friends later on the way home. So you've planned enough in advance to know that you are going to stop and deliver presents to people, is what you're telling me. You've planned enough to know that you're going to stop and give people presents. So you've gone out and you've packed the car with those presents. And then you've walked out and you jumped in the car and you've driven down to Fleet and Priscilla's house. You get down to Fleet and Priscilla's house, you're having a great time. From there, the intruder sees that you are gone. As they watched you, they had to have a sack lunch because you can't burglarize or rob a home on an empty stomach. You would be weak. it's going to get rough. You're going to have to be moving a body and fighting with this little girl around. So you don't need to be doing that on empty stomach. This person is waiting for you. So they're going to seize the opportunity. Either they know you have food inside and they're going to cook when they get there, wash the dishes and put them in the dishwasher and have them all put up again before you get home, because they know your plans to go to this party. They know you that well. They also know you well enough to know that you have an $118,000 bonus coming. They know that. They're ethical enough not to take the $7,000 check that was written to John Ramsey. They're ethical enough not to do that and forge it and work with their contacts at the bank, because they're not that sophisticated, as we saw in another crime scene video. But essentially, what you're telling me here is that they came in, waited for you to leave. They came in at 4:30. They had 5 hours. You said 4:30. No, they had to get out of there. So they had 4 hours. They know you're going to be back by 9:30. So they have whatever is done is done in the space of, because you're at the party at 4:30. So whatever, and you're back home at 9:30. So whatever is done is done in the space. You can get out 10 minutes before or what have you, or you can be hiding in the basement when they come. No. You stayed in the home because you got to kidnap JonBenét. So you stay in the house from 4:30 till about 11 to ensure that everyone went to bed. And then somewhere around there, Bert comes downstairs, gets his pineapples, gets something to drink, and goes maybe by himself and goes back downstairs. Or maybe that was left there earlier in the day before they left for the party. Goes back downstairs and goes back upstairs and goes to sleep. From there, as I think some reports have said, the intruder is waiting outside the door. There were butt prints, as they said. There were butt prints somewhere. And so those were supposed to be the butt prints of the intruder who's waiting for JonBenét outside of her door. And so essentially you come in with a stun gun and you subdue her. There's a lot of moving in this crime scene. You sit there and you write it. You don't need the ransom note yet because you don't know what you're going to do. So you haven't written the ransom note yet. But you get down here, and the point that I'm getting to, but you get down here, something goes awry. She's not stunned anymore, or you keep stunning her and she's starting to be like, you know what, I can take this electric shock. It's not a problem. Maybe you go and get the Garrote to control her a little bit more. Hush, little girl, you get on my nerves kind of deal. But somewhere along the line, this urine stain happens. But I'm confused at the timeline of this urine stain, because this was here first. There's no reason for this to be moved. This was here first. You, Mr. Intruder, as responsible as you are in some cases, but not in others, such as being responsible enough to move this in favor of putting this here, evidence of you moving the body around. It looks like you moving the body around, urine stain tracks into the wine cellar. But the intruder is so responsible that he is there to shift the crime scene, because there was a painting here. The painting was there, but he's responsible enough to shift this crime scene and say, you know what? I made this, but I need to move it somewhere else. And so therefore, if I'm going to move it somewhere else, I'm going to replace it. I'm going to take these golf bags from here and here. I'm going to take these golf bags. I'm going to move them right here, side by side. I'm going to move them right here. I'm going to take a few of the clubs out and set them right here. And then as I'm moving things around, I'm setting JonBenét's body right here face down, because something happened to her. And so she's laying down right here, face down. Her middle region is right here. Her middle region is right here. And this is where the urine is just pouring out at this point, but it's expanding into the carpet. And so it's probably, she's not that wide. So it's probably expanding out a little bit wider, but she's covering it. So she's suppressing its movement a little bit. She's face down, but then somebody grabs her, pulls her forward to this point, maybe picks her up. A little drop comes here, happens, but that doesn't make sense to me. So to me, Of course, the Garrote is staged to mislead individuals. I would speculate, I would think, to fit that narrative, but it's really hard to say that the intruder did all this moving because they left the window open when they left. An intruder this thorough enough to shift this, I don't know where this stuff went, but an intruder, because it's like, when were these pictures taken? These pictures had to be taken somewhere around the crime. And so the intruder was responsible enough. It's really weird. It could have been, seemed like somebody, because if we photographed this here and then we came back and we photographed this here, but this was here originally of some sort, somebody touched some stuff, somebody moved some stuff. But anyways, that just threw me for a loop a little bit. But anyways, that's the video. Share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. If there's a theory and a sequence of events that you guys have for this, please let me know, because that is weird. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and until next time, appreciate your support, of course. As always, take it easy.